Mao Zedong, a visionary, revolutionary, and a leader of the Chinese people. Regarded as one of the most important people in China, Chairman Mao, as he is popularly known, transformed China from a poor, unorganized nation with weak leadership into an economic powerhouse. Mao's merits still have a lasting impact on modern China, as many people support and even worship him because of his selfless contributions. However, what many people forget about Chairman Mao is that these supposed benefits to the Chinese nation came at an enormous cost. Today, we will be exploring all of the atrocities, the crimes, and the lawless acts that Mao Zedong committed throughout his life and the price the Chinese people had to pay in order for this leader's dream to come true. Is Chairman Mao really the glorified leader we all think he is? Mao Zedong was born on December 26, 1893, into a wealthy farmer in Shaoshan, Hunan province. As a child, he worked in the fields and attended a local primary school where he studied traditional Confucian classics. Mao spent most of his 10 years in Changsha, the provincial capital. He was exposed to the tides of rapid political change and the new cultural movement then sweeping the country. He served in the Republican Army for some time and then spent half a year studying alone in the provincial library, an experience that confirmed him in the habit of independent study. There, he read core works such as Adam Smith's The Wealth of Nations and Montesquieu's The Spirit of the Laws. Mao declared the founding of the modern People's Republic of China on October 1st, 1949. Following his consolidation of power, Mao launched several campaigns, but not all of the decisions Mao made had benefited China. Some had devastating effects and had impacted China then and now.
The year is 1958. China, having been rocked by a devastating civil war just 8 years earlier, was in dire need of support and reform. Previous efforts by the president of China, Mao Zedong, was partially successful at reorganizing and re-energizing the nation through new laws, which gave Chinese land back to the people in order to farm and produce goods. These efforts brought economic prosperity in the form of bountiful harvests and a large surplus of food. But in the West, a growing superpower that threatened the very existence of China, United States. Mao realized that the only way to even come close to competing with the existing world powers was to industrialize, and fast. Therefore, in 1957, Mao Zedong, urged on by the plentiful yield of crops, proposed his Great Leap Forward, a plan that would not only industrialize and revitalize China, but surpass the United Kingdom, a world superpower, in 15 years. The proposed plan involved having the citizens of China rapidly produce massive amounts of steel and grain in order to rapidly increase the economic output. However, there were problems right from the start. The Chinese people were not ready for this type of change. While the manpower was there, Mao's nation lacked the heavy machinery and equipment required to mass produce steel and other goods. The steel that they did produce was very low quality and amounted to little value in the international market. Despite this failure, Mao urged his people on, and in the process set up his country for disaster. A year later, China was in shambles. The steel project was abandoned because of lack of food. Earlier crops failed, and the local towns were forced to report inflated yields in order to satisfy Mao and his supporters. Many campaigns were launched to increase crop yield as a last resort, but most of them failed. One of the earliest campaigns was the Four Pests campaign, which told farmers to target to kill all mosquitoes, flies, sparrows, and rats. While paved with good intentions, it ultimately resulted in the extermination of the sparrow, which led the way for more destructive pests such as the locust, which hurt the farmers infinitely more than the sparrow. Mao's decision to launch these campaigns sealed the fate for many citizens in China. As a result, one of the world's largest famines in the history of the world ensued. Frank DeCotter, an expert in Chairman Mao, estimates that a record 44 million deaths occurred in the 3 year period, and cases include torture, branding, and cannibalism plagued the country. What was originally a plan to increase economic and agricultural yield turned into a massive disaster while it decreased China's economic standing and production by around 25%. Many historians and even some members of the Chinese government agreed that most of the problems in the Great Leap Forward was due to mismanagement and error. Mao, a supposed leader, benefactor, and genius of the Chinese population, failed in his vision of an industrialized China, massacring his people in the process. His leadership, legacy, and reputation was shattered by the Great Leap Forward. However, there was one way that he could take it all back, and that was the Cultural Revolution.